Hello friends, welcome to Creator-based Software Training Center. Let us understand customized or user-defined exceptions. Sometimes to meet programming requirements, we can define our own exceptions. Such type of exceptions are called as customized or user-defined exceptions. We can define our own exceptions based on the requirement. Examples like insufficient funds exception, like I've taken these two examples. I will make you understand with this example. Consider a matrimonial site, and a person is trying to apply for the matrimonial for his marriage or for her marriage. Then I am trying to throw an exception of our own. If the age is less, I want to say like too young, wait some more time for marriage. If age is more, I want to throw an exception saying you crossed your age limit for marriage. Okay. So how we can define a customized exception is like, it's very simple. Whatever class you want to define it as an customized one, you take that particular class, extend that particular class with the runtime exception. We are simply making that that particular class as a throwable class by extending it with runtime exception, and write the constructor of that particular class in that. In this case, very young exception, I have written this very young exception constructor, pass a string to it, and within that call the super method with that particular string. I have taken another class very old exception, extending runtime exception. I have taken the constructor of it, passing the string as the parameter and calling the super method. Okay. I will make you understand later as we go further why we have taken this super and why we are supposed to write this one. Okay. This is the main class. Okay. Class customized exception demo I have taken, public static void main, string array args, int age, integer dot parseInt. I have taken this args of 0 just to take the input from the keyboard. Okay. If age is greater than 60, I want to throw an exception saying you crossed your age limit for marriage. Okay. Whenever this particular statement gets executed, this very old exception class will be called, and this particular message will be thrown, right? You crossed your age limit for marriage. Okay. If age is less than 18, I wanted to throw an very young exception saying too young, wait some more time for the marriage. Else, if that particular person falls into the marriage age, I simply want to print a message saying you will get match details soon. This is the program, guys. This is very simple. Writing a customized exception is not at all tough. It's very easy. All you need to do is you need to extend that particular class with the runtime exception and call the constructor of that particular class, and within the constructor you call the super of s. This is very simple. Okay. Let me run this program. See, I've written the same program, customized exception demo, integer dot parseInt args of 0 in order to read the input from the keyboard. If age greater than 0, call this very old exception, very old exception. If age is less than 18, a very young exception. Let us execute this program. Compilation fine, compilation is fine. Let us run it. I am giving age as 90. See, exception in thread main, very old exception, you crossed your age limit for marriage. Okay. We are throwing that exception. Now let me run 65. You crossed your age limit for marriage. Okay. Same exception. Let me run some 13. See, very young exception, too young, wait some more time for the marriage. Okay, let us give 16. Very young exception, too young, wait some more time for marriage. Okay, let me give 25. You will get match details soon. Okay, this is the way of writing the customized exception. Okay, what we did is we wanted to throw a exception saying very old exception. Okay, this is very old exception is the customized or user defined. What we did, we are extending that particular class with runtime exception and making this class as throwable. Okay, and then within this class we have called this constructor and pass string as parameter. Why are we passing string as parameter? Because we need to pass this message, right? So this constructor will take this message as parameter. Okay, and this parameter will pass to the super of s. Okay, I'll explain how it internally works. See, one note, throw keyword is best suitable for user defined or customized exception, right, but not for predefined exceptions. Okay, it is highly recommended to define customized exceptions as unchecked. That is, we have to extend runtime exception but not exception. If we extend an unchecked exception like runtime exception, we will not get compile time error, right? If we extend it with runtime exception, we will not get compile time error as it is unchecked. We will not get compile time error. Unreported exception XYZ must be caught or declared to be. We need not handle that exception code, right? We can simply write the code without handling, right? If we extend it with an unchecked exception, we need not think of the compile time error like must be caught or declared to be thrown. So it is highly recommended to extend with runtime exception for customized exceptions. Okay. So now we'll discuss why are we writing super of s in the constructor of the customized exception class. Okay. As discussed, very young exception extends runtime exception, very young exception string of s, super of s, argument is like parameter is string of s and we are calling super of s. So what are we what is happening internally is like very young exception is the child class of runtime exception, right? When you are extending this runtime very young exception with runtime exception, this particular class will become the child class to this one. Runtime exception is the child class of exception class. Runtime exception is the child class of exception. Exception is the child class of throwable. Okay, exception is the child class of throwable. When we throw new very young exception and this message within it, this will call the constructor of this one. When we throw this when we throw this one, this will call the constructor of very old exception, right? If it is very young exception, this will call the constructor of very young exception. This will be called, right? So what will happen? This will call the constructor of very young exception, and to this one this message will be passed. This particular message will be passed. Very young exception, in this super will be called, right? In this particular line will be called. When super is called, this will call the runtime exception, the parent one, right? Parent of this very young exception is runtime exception. So even in the runtime exception, we have super of s. Then from this, in runtime exception also we have super of s. This will be called. In what does it mean in runtime exception super of s? It is calling the super of s of exception class. In exception also we have super of s. This will also be called. Then it will reach throwable class. Okay. what is happening internally is this particular class will be calling this one. In this superoffice is also there in runtime exception. Again exception is called. In this also we have superoffice. After that, exception is a subclass of throwable, right? In throwable class, there is a method print stack trace to print the exception information, right? Print stack trace is available in throwable class. Default exception handler will use this print stack trace to print the exception information, right? This particular message will be transferred using superoffice till the throwable class. In throwable class, you have a method called print stack trace. Default exception handler then will use this print stack trace to print the exception information to the console. Okay. In this, default exception handler is responsible to print exception information to the console by using the method print stack trace. Default exception handler will use print stack trace to print exception information using this e.print stack trace. Okay, this is all how it works. Let me explain you once again. Defining a customized exception is very easy. All you need to do is take a class, extend that particular class with runtime exception, write a constructor method in it, take the parameter as string s, and then call the superoffice and call that exception wherever you need. This is so simple. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit bell icon. Also like, comment and share. See you next time.